one of my favorite times of day has grown to be this, the time of dawn. Look at that thing. See that moon? That like 30-minute, 40-minute period. Maybe even less. I guess you can narrow it down as much as you want. But basically from when everything goes pitch black to full illumination. The sun not breaking the horizon yet, but it literally brightens as you walk. It's like someone is slowly turning the lights on with a dimmer. It's incredible. And without the pandemic, I never would have seen that. That light behind me right there is not a light, that's the moon. It's gigantic. That guy. Tomorrow's the 26th. My number, the Scorpio moon. I don't know why, but I feel like tomorrow is going to be a big day for all things cosmic. And I want to keep talking because I want to tell you about something that I've discovered. And you know what's funny? I'm not afraid of getting banned or shut down or hunted for any of this. What's making me a little bit nervous is that me telling you these things might make them not disappear, but might make entities think twice. So it all started while it was still summertime. I was walking down the railroad tracks and I saw a family of foxes. Now, they say a fox is cunning. It's sly. But it doesn't mean deceit. It means stealth. And different symbolism for foxes have different definitions. So mostly they say that if you see a fox, it means that you should learn how to keep certain moves that you make to yourself. Don't reveal them to everyone else. Like you're telling too much, which I never thought was a thing, because it's not that I trusted people. It's just that I had faith that nobody would use my own information against me, and how could they if I'm being brutally honest? Well, vulnerability is, with everyone. Everyone has their vulnerabilities, and you could use them against the person. I had my astrology chart read, or someone did my astrology chart, and I don't know anything about that, other than what I've heard from whatever, Zodiacs, the New York Post. So apparently your 12th house is your secrets, things that you're hiding, things that you don't want to reveal. And it tells you do this, do that. My 12th house was empty, like nothing. I even asked somebody else, one of my friends, and she made fun of me. She was like, wants to know what's in his 12th house, shows me a picture of empty 12th house. So I have no secrets. So you could say that if someone had no secrets, they could be considered pure, or more pure. Now, hold your horses there. I'm not calling myself pure by any means, because I certainly am not. But when I was looking for these definitions and these symbolism of seeing a fox, and this, by the way, came from a person who studies Native American culture, because he is Native American, and his whole social media career revolves around keeping the real culture alive. So a lot of people, like there was one TikToker that comes out with his beer and he goes, neighbors are nice. And there's you could hear tribal singing and dancing. And he fucking stupid fat ass redneck. Not that weight has anything to do with it. I'm just disgusted by it. He starts dancing. He's just ignorant. Excuse me. So this guy Abe, or actually his name is Everett Laframboise. he he tells of people. First, it started off a little bit of resentment and anger towards the colonists. How like we don't know what it feels like, and it's true. I don't. I don't know what it's like to own a slave. I don't know what it's like to oppress people. I don't. But enough backstory on him. He told me about my spirit guides. So everyone has a spirit guide. There's an animal. And you could feast them. Meaning, like when you eat something, you just go and take a piece of the meal, put it on like a piece of bark or whatever, and just bring it outside. Tell your spirit guides that this is for you. And, you know, you feed them. And then he said after that, it'll confirm that they received your offering with a sight of an animal. So you'll see an animal, and that'll represent the fact that, and not like a pigeon, but like an animal, you know? And like I see deer all the time. There's fucking deer everywhere. So I figured it would probably be a deer or whatever. But it wasn't a deer, it was a fox. The second time I saw a fox. The first time I saw a fox, there was a family of them on the railroad tracks. They might have been rabid or sick or something, because there's 3 of them. A baby, a mother, and I guess a father. And they're all mangled up and shit. Father looked at me, I looked at him, and then they just all walked away. So after feasting my spirit guides, I got a confirmation. I saw a fox. And the way I saw the fox was, I was walking towards the woods, or into the woods, and I guess the fox had his den close to where I was walking, and the fox jumped out of its den and ran forward, almost as a way to distract me, because probably his babies were in there, or her babies were in there, and she wanted to distract me and take me away so I wouldn't touch the babies. Obviously, I didn't touch either of them. But after the fox took a couple of like strides, I guess he stopped and he sat up and he looked at me. And I looked at him, or it. And we just like locked eyes for a minute. And that was my confirmation. Like, I'm not really like, I mean, I am very, very big on, not superstition, but like synchronicity and coincidence. I don't believe in it, you know? Like if there's something that happened that's just like, oh, it's a coincidence, like, figure it out. So I asked what seeing the fox meant. What does that mean? And it means that there's certain moves that you have that you need to just keep to yourself. Don't tell everybody everything, you know what I mean? Move silently like a ninja. Keep yawning. And one of these things really stood out to me because it said, it is very likely that seeing the fox, because it's so rare for just a person to see a random fox in the woods, that it's an invitation to communicate with the world of the fairies. I'm a 37-year-old fucking grown-ass man. I just said the word fairies. I know. I call them spirits of the woods, but because fairies to me were always like homosexuals, you know, or like Tinkerbell, which is true. That's really what they are. But lately, I don't know if you've noticed, like there's been a lot of like supernatural sightings. Like there's always been Bigfoot and Yetis and shit, you know. But there's like this one British guy that went into the woods looking for fairies, and he found them. He took a picture of like one of the little guys. With their spears, and then he mysteriously vanished. Nobody knows where he is. I think. I haven't checked, but hopefully he didn't vanish. Hopefully he was just taking a piss and he came back. But if anything was about it was true, because this guy was in the woods for like a couple of days or weeks or some shit. And if his footage is true, that means they do exist. They're little fairies, that fucking little things that hide in the woods, and they just do their wood shit. Like elves, you know, gnomes, dwarfs. And the Hobbit, J.R.R. Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings, that, yes, there are short people, little people, Lilliputians. But this is different. You know, this is like the little 18-inch man that they found that was skinny. So that same day, I looked up how to communicate with the fairy world. Fuck it, you know? And it's F-A-E or E-A Rees, you know? And when I looked up, it gave me this. It said that this is an amulet, or this is a drawing, an amulet, given to them by someone of somewhere. And you basically wear the amulet, and then you're supposed to be able to communicate with them. Now that got to thinking, like, how would that amulet work? Like, how do amulets work in general? How do hieroglyphs work? Hieroglyphics, amulets, stuff like that. Well, think about it. Like, if you can't see like entities around you because you can only see a small percentage of light, right? And there's entities around me all the time. And they're floating around, they're doing their thing, and dogs could see them, cats could see them, but we can't. Or they could feel them. You know what I mean? We can't. How would we communicate to these things? So psychics and mediums, they sit down and, oh, does anyone there? But the entities don't talk to the psychic in English. They just give the psychic kind of like mental notes, you know? So I'm not a psychic, I don't think. I mean, I could probably do a little bit of telekinesis. I have some ESP in terms of like remote viewing and like perception of what's about to happen, you know. But I think that's everybody. I don't think that's just me. And I don't think it's called. I don't think it should be called ESP. More like ASP, like acute sensory perception. You know what I mean? So, how would you communicate with something like that if you didn't have the ability to telepathically communicate? Well, you would write to them, right? I mean, if they could see you, you could see them. I mean, you could be there. But what do you write to them in? Fucking English? No. I mean, they've been around for like God knows how long. Whatever language it is, you know. And that's when this episode of Spirit Science came into play as symbols. So, like, our whole lives, or, you know, our entire lives are run by symbols. You see a symbol, you associate it with something, yada, yada, yada. Like the Pepsi symbol, you know, I've probably went into this already on one of my things, but the Pepsi symbol has a lot of work put into it. Like, way more than you would think. Like angles, formulas, mathematical. All these different things about how, where it should be. And it's just a small little fucking ball with like yellow, blue, and white. But like in this giant fucking research book that they were doing when they were making this symbol, it actually says the world of Pepsi. So like they were aiming high, you know, taking over the world with the symbol. But that's the shit though. Like, you know what the Masonic symbol looks like? You know what a pentagram is? A cross, a Jesus, you know? Those are all symbols. And they run our lives. So I started thinking, I was like, well, this amulet or these designs, or even like a Cantonese or Japanese characters, like they're symbols that could be recognized by things or entities that know them. So to them, they don't know ABC, they know symbols and what they mean. Like runic symbols, for instance, for witches and shit back in the day, like, you know, the lines. So I drew this shit. I drew that symbol on a piece of paper. I traced it from my phone. I drew it on a piece of paper. And as soon as I finished it, like, it was weird. Like, I immediately saw a shadow or a shade. And I'm getting fucking chills right now, just saying this. And back then, like, this was a few hours ago. And I didn't really, like, feel scared. But I just, like, now I'm thinking about it, like, holy shit. Like, it's true. Like, I saw, like, a fucking shadow move over there. A little thingy off the corner of my eye there. And then something, like, shifted. It didn't fall, but it was, like, not even. It was, like that. Like, but the house has like clicks and bends and shit, but it's just wood, you know. But like, this was weird, and it all happened at the same time. And for the rest of the night, it kept happening, little by little. So I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, how would that work? Well, I mean, if you're an entity and you're floating around, right, and you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, 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 I know this. And then you look at the human that you've been watching, and you're like, what? How the fuck did you know? What the fuck? You know, like, you make a connection, and you start to try to do shit to make the person realize that, hey, it's working. Like, hey, what's up? So I'm pretty sure that that's how it is. Like, I'm pretty sure that's why if you wear an amulet or a talisman with that symbol, like, and then you're walking around the, you know, globe, other entities that know the symbol could, like, interact with you, essentially. Because they know that, one, if they interact with you, you're not going to be afraid. Two, that you're open for communication. And three, that you're not malicious. Because these things, much like dogs, could sense how you are feeling. So dogs could smell fear. Dogs could sense aggression. Dog can sense sickness. Like, you know, if you're ever sick, your dog always, like, comes by and hangs out with you because it senses that you're sick. Smell, yes, but it also feels the vibrations that you're giving off. The aura, so to speak. That's what the aura is all about, too. Like, Kilner said that you could see different auras. They mean different things. If a woman's pregnant, like when the baby's big enough, you could see another aura, like, through the stomach of the woman, of the baby. So these entities know that you're not up to no good, because if you are, they're probably not going to touch you, or the worse, they'll fuck with you. But I don't really see how they could fuck with you per se. I could probably get into that later, but I'm not really going to dwell on that because it's not the point. It doesn't matter how they could fuck with you. The point is that there were entities in my house, and they wanted to fuck with me, and they would have done it already. There's no reason for them to start now because I what? Let them in? Okay, fine, I'll let them in. So they haven't fucked with me yet. I asked the spirit guide, I fed my spirit guides and I said to please, show me. They showed me the fox. I looked up the fox. The fox showed me the symbol. I wrote the symbol. Now shit's moving. So I essentially walked into this world saying, hey, like, I come in peace. I just want to know what's up. I know there's more than what's going on. I'm here to learn. That's it. And I am, like, full intention, here to learn, not trying to fuck around. And like I said before about disclosure and aliens and anti-gravity propulsion devices, like, the info's out there, guys. I mean, it's on Google Patents. You could call it a hoax. You could call it real. Not one gives a fuck. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that it's there. It's an official Google patent by Salvatore Caesar Pais that he invented in the fucking inertial mass reduction device. Room temperature superconductors. A method of walking through walls. Yeah, there's a patent for a method of walking through walls. And basically what you do is you divide your body into 7 sectors and you vibrate. You send vibrations through, your chakra, so to speak, at different levels, and then you just walk through the wall. I don't know the math. I'm not a fucking physicist, but it's there. So the info, regardless of whether you think it's real or not, the info's there. And if you're smart enough to do the math, because the formulas are all there too, and all the numbers, all the digits, the whatever, you could do the math. And then you could tell me if you think it's real or not. You think if it's possible. Shit, if you got enough money and you can do the math, build one. Fuck it. Imagine you fucking smart enough to build an anti-gravity vehicle, and you have the resources to do it, because there's millions of people. Well, maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people on this planet that have like more than $1 million. I can't imagine this thing being like that much money. You could build a drone that flies faster than a bow, like an arrow, for like $150 or like $200. So like $20,000 maybe it'll cost you to build a fucking thing. I know it's a lot, but it's an anti-gravity fucking device, So the info is, what I'm trying to say is the info's out there. People just, half of them don't want to believe it. Half of them say it's a hoax. People go out of their way to look it up and say it's a hoax. And then other people that are just like blindly sitting there waiting for something cool to happen. They don't want to look at the patents because they don't know where to look and how to look. They're waiting for someone like me or someone else to tell them like, yo, this is it. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. They want to believe it, but they don't want to look because maybe they're afraid of what they'll find. That's cool. And if someone like me like delivers it in a nice like package with a bow and makes them smile about it, they'll be cooler about it. Because if I was in charge of telling like this sector of the United States that aliens are real, like the almost 300,000 people that are following me, like TikTok would be like, all right, everyone's gonna fucking watch you now. Boom. And I'll tell them all, like, look, we've been getting ready for this. I told you, this is what's happening. Aliens are coming. Everyone's still got to go to work. Chances are, if all of them are watching me, they're going to believe what I'm saying, and they're going to buy it, and they're going to be like, it's okay because he's okay. Like, Tumultuous doesn't seem freaked out about it, so we should be cool too. So I think that's what it is too. So when they see these entities, they see these amulets or these symbols, that they know all these things already. So now it's up to you to either open a line of communication, for them to open a line of communication, but I don't know how, so I have to learn that. But this is what happened after that. I started thinking about binaural beats and music and cymatics. If you don't know what cymatics is when music, which is vibration, sound, like the way you're hearing my voice right now, which is, if you really think about it, how it's happening, it's pretty fucking magical. Vibration goes from here into the microphone, up to space, bouncing off the satellite and into your phone. Not even in real time. So it's like fucking bananas, because you're my tone of voice, it's me, and I'm, sending it out. It's cool. If you turn your speaker or whatever it is, you plugged it into a speaker and you turn it loud and it went, and you put it next to water, the water would shake on the other side of the planet for my voice. So my power, if voice was power, my power could be anywhere as long as the phone is. Right? So binaural beats are 2 waves, 2 different sound tones sent to your brain, directly in between your brain. They sandwich your brain in this vibration. And different hertz mean different things, just like different notes have different patterns. And through that, it'll literally vibrate the liquid, if there's any air, well, it shouldn't be, but, and the solid through your skull into your brain. And it'll vibrate it very gently, because, you could have punched in the head, that's a big vibration, but it could vibrate it very gently. And the way it vibrates is it aligns just like the shape aligns, for a second or a very weak force aligns your shit in your brain, like the water, of blood, mass, brain mass, to the specific shape for a little while. So just like if you're on drugs, if you're on alcohol, your brain becomes deformed because you're constantly feeding yourself alcohol. If you're listening to these waves or these sounds all the time, your brain is constantly being shaped into that thing. So just like a negative result could happen, a positive result could happen. And if you listen to these enough, like on a daily basis, your brain will begin to change. It will begin to form into the shape that it needs to be formed for it to perceive things that it normally couldn't. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it's hemispheric synchronization, meaning you synchronize both sides of your brain. Usually one tells the other one what to do. In this case, both of them operate. That's really hard to do before binaural beats because monks would do that, Tibetan monks. And they actually did it with sound too, but they just did it with bowls, like Tibetan singing bowls. So they would ding one bowl. Did you hear that drop? Did you hear that fall? I didn't hear that fall. I mean, it didn't drop off of me. What was that? Something just fell on the floor. I heard it. I don't know what it was. But this is what I'm talking about. When I talk about shit like this, shit just starts fucking shifting, falling, moving. It's crazy. It'd probably try to make me forget, but I'm not gonna. So, when you're listening to these binaural beats, Tibetan singing bowls, they would ring one bowl, they would ring another bowl, and they would hear the vibrato. But these things are literally generated for this specific thing, so you could just short circuit and like pass on like years and years of meditation, of sitting there and stilling your mind and just listening to these fucking things. You could be watching TV, you could fall asleep and just have them playing in the background. The thing is, the sound will still be working on your brain, even if you're sleeping. You don't have to hear it. When you listen to it, though, you could control the frequency of the wave by thinking about it. So you'll hear like whoa, 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 and then you just think about whoa, 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 right? And then when you hear that, when you're able to change it, that's when your brain is beginning to be synchronized. And I'm able to change it pretty much at any point with any binaural beat, like whatever it is. I can hear binaural beats in the background, like in the gateway experience. Every one of those like episodes or whatever sessions, I don't know if you know, but there's binaural beats that play in the background on top of his voice. And now move on to your energy conversion box. Use this. Like if you listen to it, you don't listen to his voice, you hear them in the background. They're different ones every time. So with that being said, like repetition will make your brain perceive shit you normally couldn't perceive, kind of like this. Kind of like this, the psi wheel thing that I do with the telekinesis, or whatever you want to call it. All right, so this essentially is a piece of paper. Let me put it this way for you guys. No, that's fine. That's a piece of paper balanced on a needle. Here, let me turn this shit. It's balanced on a needle down there. You see that needle? It's holding up a piece of paper. That's a cross made out of a piece of wood and a needle, too. The reason I have two objects is because, much like binaural beats, you need to have a slight out of focus thing for this. So if I'm focusing too much on the paper and I'm telling the paper, like, or I'm asking the paper, hello paper, like you and I are made out of the same material. Please show these people that you can indeed move. And you can see it move. It starts to move. It just jerked a little bit. It's very hard to see on camera. So we're made out of the same material. I would just like to see you move a little bit if it's possible. And then as that, you look at the cross and you say, hey, cross, metal and wood together. Now it's shaking from left and right, which is fine, but I'm trying to make it twist. And then you just focus. And then you go back to the paper. Then you go to the cross. You see how the cross is rotating? Now, if you need some help, just put your hand on the glass and just focus on one of the corners of the paper and say, I'm going to push you as much as I can. And the paper starts to move. You see how the paper's starting to move? Now, I touched that thing for 2 seconds, 3 seconds maybe. But now the paper's moving a little bit. Now I can look at the cross, and the cross will also start to spin. Look how much the paper's moving. Look at that shit. That is not me. And there's airtight, like there's tape all over that shit. How are you gonna tell me, like, what, you know? And the reason is because I've been listening to these things for like 2.5 hours. So I don't even have to be listening to these binaural beats for it to work. Now, if I keep my hand on the glass, people say that it's thermodynamics. And it's true, it could be. I already tried that once. But what happens is if you practice a little every day, I could sit on that couch right there, sit down, look at the paper, and it'll start to move. Now, in an effort to, I can't do it now because I just started again. But I will. Like probably what's in April, I'm say May. By the end of May, I'll be able to do it. What does that mean, really? That doesn't mean anything. I can move a piece of paper. Who gives a shit behind a glass? And I'm not even sure I could move it if it's just laying on a table. Because this is balanced on a needle. So it's balanced on a really thin point. It's like very, very light telekinetic work. But the point is that it's telekinetic work. I'm not trying to be Magneto here, moving cars. I'm trying to show people and understand myself how much of the brain we don't really know. So if you listen to these binaural beats and you align your shit, you will be able to perceive things differently. Not just because you're deciding to, but because you are. So you'll start seeing more. You'll start thinking more. And more importantly, you will start getting notions. Because when you're doing remote viewing, people give you coordinates, which is a set of numbers. They give you like 4 numbers hyphen 4 numbers. And then you have to concentrate, and whatever picture comes to your mind, that's what you start drawing or you imagining. Now, sometimes the picture's wrong, but sometimes the picture's right. So, like, how do you discern between that? I can get into that in another episode, but the point is that shit starts coming to my mind out of nowhere. I don't know from where, but it just comes. And before I never thought of that. Now I am. Could it be a coincidence? Maybe, but come on. So I start looking around, and for some reason I noticed this book on my thing there. And it's a Russian book that I've had for a long time. I think it came out in the year 2000, so it's 20 years old, this book. I'm sure the information in it is much older than that. But basically, it's a book in Russian about magic, clairvoyance, and sorcery. So it's got it's like a 700-page book or something like that. And it's got a lot of shit in it. You know what I mean? And then one of the other pages, I just turned to it again. I turned to this. So I was born under the planet Mars. And I was born on March 26th. And it says right there, I'm drawing 26, the talisman of Mars. And it shows that, right? And it says right here, carve this into a well-polished piece of metal and draw the swords in the middle, and then in the middle of the pentagram, and then write the magical signs around it. Now, pentagram is pointing up, so relax, I'm not a Satanist. What I wanted to show you about this is I was born under Mars on the 26th, right, in 1984. But that doesn't really matter, the year. The matter is the middle of the thing depicted 2 swords, and it's a talisman for like strength and clairvoyance and whatever, right? I flipped to that page. So I was born on the 26th. There's a 26 tattooed on my leg because my kid was also born on the 26th. But what really sent a chill down my spine, I don't mean to strip for the camera, is this. Huh? I know they're crossed at the wrong place, but give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. So I naturally have some reading to do, and I can't find an audiobook on that because I don't think they have it. Then I got to thinking, I've read that book before, and I carved something of a protection spell, it said, on one of my knives. I used to have a knife, and I carved it on one of my knives. And then since then, the knife is broken, but only the hilt, like the handle, the blade remained fine, like perfectly fine. I don't know where it is now. It doesn't really matter, but the point is, there's some more to this magic stuff than I thought. And like I said, use your judgment. You could, dub it as a hoax, but like, mark my fucking words. But between what I have done and I've personally experienced, not sure exactly how, now I'm beginning to understand how I did things that I've done. I was listening to Alan Watts, and he said that a lot of people consider him lucky. I've never heard this lecture from him before, but I've said that. I said that people tell me that I'm lucky all the time, but I tell them I'm not lucky. I'm just prepared when opportunity knocks. What am I preparing for now? I don't know, but I saw a fox that led me to a symbol, that led me to a book, that led me to 26, and then the fucking swords tattooed on my arm. None of this was planned. Where do you draw the line at coincidence? I just moved the paper for you in front of you with my fucking mind a little bit. So you gotta, I'm not full of shit completely. Either someone's fucking with me, you know what I mean? Or I'm onto something. And I know I'm onto something, and I'm not trying to that's what I was saying, I was kind of nervous. I don't want to exploit it. I don't want to show everyone, oh my God, look, there's fucking fairies and magic and shit. I'm a warlock. No. If anything, I would be very, very grateful to have any sort of perception beyond the normal. But I'm not going to call myself a warlock. I'm not. You know why? Because I think, and I don't know how, but I just have a belief that real warlocks don't call themselves warlocks, if they exist. Like magi or whatever, the only time that they announce who they are is when they need to, say their rank. So if you're in the army and you say, I'm lieutenant, corporal, whatever, oh shit, high-ranking officer in the fucking field. But the thing is in the army or in the military, guys of high rank don't need to say who they are. If in the kitchen when I used to work as a chef, well, I mean still, but when you walked, we always used to wear long sleeve T-shirts, because it was hot, it was summertime, and it was a really prestigious restaurant. And if I had to go out in the dining room, I had a nice, pressed jacket. But in the kitchen, I would fucking wear a long sleeve T-shirt. And I used to tell people, if somebody were walking into the kitchen, they would look around, they wouldn't need to ask who the chef was, even though I was just wearing a regular shirt and everyone else. If I was wearing the same shit as everyone else, nobody would need to ask who the chef was. People would automatically know who the chef was just by what I was doing and how I was acting. I'm not boss, cocky, whatever. That's the other thing. There's a lot of guys in the restaurant, in the kitchen, that acted way more cockier than I, loud and obnoxious, but they would know that they're not the chef. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't think warlocks and real magi, unless they're really, really, need to say their rank, don't declare that they're magi. And of course there's exceptions, but personally, I'm going to follow that code. First of all, I don't know what the fuck I am. I don't even know if this is real. But, shit's starting to point towards the probably. And I know a lot about karma. I know a lot about balance. Enough to not fuck around and use this to my advantage, because I know that in the end it's going to bite you in the ass. I think the best way to use things that are supernatural is to, if you're going to do something for yourself, do something for everyone else as well. So if you ask the universe for some pizza, or you ask the universe for a slice of pizza, write a sigil for a slice of pizza, and the universe gives you a pie, you don't eat the fucking pie, asshole. You take the slice that you ask for, you say thank you, and the rest you give away to everyone else. And it doesn't matter who takes it. It's none of your business, none of your concern. The universe, or whatever gave you the extra slices, will deal with that. They will send people your way that need it, believe me. And if not, give it to the next, you know what I mean? And just put it out and just give it to people. Because that's where I think people get fucked up. That's where power corrupts. That's why ultimate power corrupts absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's because people ask for a slice and they get a pie and they eat it and then they fucking choke on it. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to tell you what's been going on with me, but I don't know how deep I'm going to dive into this magic thing, because I don't think I'm supposed to dive that deep yet. Anything amazing that's ever happened to me, or successful, beneficial, has always happened at the spur of the moment. That's how I live my life, really, from the hip. I don't aim, I just shoot from the hip. That's the best way for me. Because then the devil doesn't have time to know that you're there. No one else has time to react. I think things through, but I think things through months in advance, and then I forget about them. So when the time comes, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But yeah, just so you know. Yeah. I think that's probably going to be the last of it. I'm going to talk. That's why it's such a long episode. I'm sorry for taking your time. because I think that I'm going to stop talking about this for a while. Because like I said, I don't want people or these entities or anything to think that I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. And the thing is, like, they know that I don't have bad intentions, but they don't know what kind of intentions the people listening to this have. So there's definitely going to be some dickhead, if I showed everybody what's going on, that's going to take it and like try to fucking bet the Knicks game or some shit. There's going to be some other asshole that people are just stupid. And they're like the most dangerous kind of person is a person that is stupid and has nothing to lose. Or uneducated and nothing to lose. That fucking bad combo. So in an effort to avoid those, I'm going to just keep doing research. And when I come up with something, I'll let you know. But I'm not going to let you know on this. I'll let you know on some shit like, I want you guys to draw a picture. And then you're going to draw a picture, and the one I'm talking to is going to draw the right picture. Right? And be like, now write what you think. And you're going to write whatever comes to your mind, and it's going to be my words already. That'll be that's not magic trick, though. It's just magic.